All right, what's up, y'all? Happy Friday, everybody.
Yo, yo, yo.
Glad to have you back on the channel here, Jonah. Um, he's
Glad to be back.
a big wholesale seller. If you guys are watching on the replay or popping in for the first time, that kind of thing. Bunch of brand direct. A little bit of you're buying from anybody at this point, but mostly he's buying directly from brands and focused on scaling with wholesale and on his way to nine figures here at some point. I would have to assume. So that'll be are you, what are you gonna buy yourself like something cool when you hit nine figures, like even just a plaque or something to like commemorate it?
Yeah, probably like a plaque or something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
obviously I'm gonna update in the bio. That's first and foremost. But no, not really. You know how it is. It's like more just on your trajectory. Like if we can hit that, that's great because that just means we're still alive and in business and running, you
Yeah.
know. Um, I don't really have too many financial goals like that.
I gotcha. Yeah. So as you guys are popping on in here, let us know what questions you guys have about getting started with Amazon wholesale or just any Amazon questions in general. And then for you guys who are interested in getting into wholesale, just in general, Jonah helps lots of awesome guys and gals start wholesale businesses. So you guys can check that out down below. It helps you find brand direct accounts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I saw on your Instagram story you're walking around at like some kind of like outdoor like expo show, and like can you like talk about that? I know you said you saw like a brand that like turned you down too. Like
Yeah, no. So that was Expo West, really big natural foods, grocery, depends what you want to do, supplements, but basically like consumable products, which I'm a big fan of. So we have a couple brands that actually were already there. And then we obviously are looking for more. We're in that position where, with wholesale, you go in phases. You're either doing outreach and hammering and like finding suppliers, and then you open those accounts and you're spending money, right? So you run out of capital, my credit card, no more balance. So you kind of stop the outreach. So like we've been in a position for so long of having a good base of suppliers, reordering, figuring out like, how to run an Amazon business and scale. We haven't necessarily put the foot on the gas with a lot of outreach. And so like this last couple months we have more or less. And once again, you can already see there's really good opportunities out there, but the best ones are going to be when you're in person, face to face, and having the conversation that we have with these brands. So just to tell you guys like what that is, when you're going into wholesale, it's more B2B. So there's multiple ways you can run businesses. A lot of them are B2C. So you just business to consumer, you're selling to the Amazon customer. You don't really have to deal with a vendor, right? You're sourcing products from Kohl's, Walmart, Macy's, wherever it is. When you go into wholesale, it's a lot more face-to-face conversations, interactions, Zoom calls with people. And that can be like, hey, let me open a wholesale account. But in my experience, a lot of people just want to open a wholesale account. Not a lot of people want to add value to the supplier they're working with. So like what is adding value? So you guys already know you're sourcing online arbitrage, you come across those listings and like, it might sell on Amazon, but it's a brand you haven't heard of before. The listing might not be super perfect. There's a bunch of resellers. After a while, you can actually just contact that brand directly too and try to open a direct wholesale account with them. And if they tell you no Amazon, which happens frequently, you have to add value and you have to show them why you're an asset to their team. So a lot of brands, they're not massive companies. They don't have hundreds of employees. They're like, I call them mom and pop brands. Just like there's mom and pop retail shops, there's like mom and pop distributors, same things with brands. And the reason why their listings are bad on Amazon or they're not there at all is because they have a bandwidth issue and they need help growing their business. So
turns
like
out it's
that's
a lot of work to sell on Amazon, right?
yeah, a ton of work. Like everyone in here already knows that. And so many brands, like people ask, why doesn't the brand just do it themselves? It's like, well, a lot try, they fail because it's so hard. FBA shipments, stocking the right quantity. Oh, Amazon flags the listing, customers return it. Like there's all these issues. I realize that's a good service to offer. And like, we don't own our brands, but we do own the channel of Amazon. And we have a really good setup here. And if you're a brand that wants to scale, we can help you do so. So like that started with distributors. I work with brick and mortar retail stores. So like if any of you guys have a physical location, that always helps with wholesale, gives you legitimacy, having a storefront or an area you could claim as a storefront. And then distributors as well have tons of brands that they have access to. So like I'm basically, I call myself a partner. So it's the big thing is like the shift from reselling into partnering. Obviously we still sell, but you got to add a little bit more, bring more to the table.
Have you thought about setting up an actual retail store? Or like I know some people have like a fake retail store at their warehouse, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I did that for a second, took photos, put
Mhm.
it on Google Maps and everything. It's literally just a showroom
Yeah.
at my warehouse. Like we were there a couple months ago actually for Expo West and had like 10 or so of the wholesale network guys come through, and I showed them and I was like, this is my storefront. This is this little dinky thing. Didn't open any accounts with it. Realized like it wasn't the model I wanted to scale, because you still run into like the maybe no Amazon, or maybe you get the account, but you're one of like 10 guys, which also, in my opinion, like, yeah, you can get a brand direct account, you're authorized, everyone's keeping map. But if you have to share the buy box with 10 people, and it's not like arbitrage, right? Where if you commit to saying, hey, I'll keep this price brand, if you go under the price and you're repricing and trying to win it, like you might make sales, but then they're just going to stop selling to you. So it's like that's the game of buying and stocking inventory too. You have to make good decisions because you can't always just liquidate your inventory like that without burning a relationship.
For sure. Let's see. Alex on Instagram, you're saying, how hard is it to sell products from Mexico into US or Canada? Have you ever done any like importing? You worked with international brands or anything like that?
I haven't shipped like obviously like from Mexico in,
Sure.
but for some of the stuff with Amazon Mexico and Canada, you can do remote fulfillment program where your FBA inventory in the US will sell in those other marketplaces. And then when you want to expand, you can use a company like Frisbee. I used Frisbee a few times. They're you basically can send your products to the border, and then they will do the transfer for you, give you the NRA docs and import numbers, and then you do FBA in those other countries. If you're just talking about shipping like into a US fulfillment center, you need a freight forwarder to get it over the border, and then you're most likely going to have to pay import taxes and a bunch of taxes on it.
Yeah, for sure. We used to work with a brand. We were actually buying brand direct. It might be the biggest wholesale product I have from Australia. Something, and then I can't remember, like their price went too high or something like that. Listing got weird on Amazon. In retrospect, I should have tried to do what you're doing now. That was a few years ago, where it's like, hey, this listing's looking weird. Prices are getting bad. That kind of thing. Like we've been buying from them for like well over a year too. So probably fumbled some money there, but that's okay. Lesson learned.
It happens for sure. Yeah. I fumbled plenty of accounts too. And partially like my biggest fumbles were not being like sitting down and saying, hey, I want to be your Amazon partner. Like, this is how we're going to help you grow on the channel. This is why you don't need 15 people and why I can be the one that helps you scale the most. So
yeah,
that was like my biggest regret. I would say I don't really have regrets, but just not hopping into what I'm doing sooner, because I had good relationships, good opportunities. Some of the stuff, like as a lot of wholesalers already know, it's kind of like gray area, right? Like you're buying from distributors. Same with arbitrage. You're buying from the retail sites, but the brands don't know you're selling. So you're like, get behind the scenes. Yeah, it's legal. Yeah, the product's legit and everything like that. But with wholesale, it's the same thing. And if you keep playing that game, your longevity, it's just not that long. Like your lifespan on that specific ASIN. Like you can turn it a few times, but then they raise the price on it or they block that listing, whatever happens, something happens. And that was happening with me, where I'd start getting accounts, scaling them, and then brand would say
some of the 10 other people or the brand or something messes with it. Yeah.
Our brand would try to take it back in house, or just like say they're only going to have one or two guys. And I wasn't the one or two guys. So then I'm like, okay, how do I become the authorized people here? And this is what I did. I posted this Instagram about this today, but I literally sat down and just asked one of my brand partners who I did not have a relationship with or a deal with. I said, can I just see what your partner does for you? Like, I want to see what they do. I want to copy that kind of business model. I understand, you have a close relationship with them. They're running your ads. They do the FBA shipments. It's sold under their seller account, but you're the brand. And so a lot of people don't even realize this with Amazon in general and FBA. So like we have to explain this to them. But when products are sold on Amazon, it's like 30%, 30, 40% are from Amazon, 60, 70% are from third-party sellers. And a lot of those third-party sellers are not the brand. It's like a partner like us or a reseller, an online retailer. Yeah. So what's happening now is like all of us Amazon sellers, we are all online retailers. How does the online retailer get access to product that's legitimate, sustainable, repeatable? Because that's how you can scale eventually and have suppliers where you're just not necessarily like losing sleep at night, you know?
Yeah. That's like probably the biggest benefit of like brand direct and private label is kind of in that same ballpark where when you get it, it's going to last, 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years, that kind of thing on your good ones. Mm-hmm. When you're picking up arbitrage products, a good one's probably going to last, 6, 12 months. Most of your stuff's going to be maybe one restock.
Yeah, we talked about it too. I think it's just building systems with whatever it is you choose to do. Like, because you're going to spend a lot of time on the wholesale brand direct side too, where like you're spending time up front, you're not profiting. You actually might be losing money depending. Like that's something I had written down today. There's plenty, I've seen it with guys where they break even, they lose money on the opening order. It's not that profitable, but they're almost like buying the relationship and opening the door and then seeing where it goes from there. And then, how many times will you continue working with somebody without hitting the margin you're going to hit? So like that's kind of sometimes that's the conversation. And we talk to our brands about this too. So it's either like, we need to get X amount % off retail, or if I'm exclusive, are you cool with us raising the price? Because like if they can't give us a discount, but
so you can afford some marketing and like, hey, this is what we're going to do to your price, but this is how we're going to make your brand better, that kind of thing.
Right. And so that's what's cool about what I learned private label. Like I've done private label. I did not have a successful project, but I realized
too many garlic presses, too many.
Actually, I have it literally right under here. It was an office desk like tray. So it just held cables. Cool. So yeah,
that's very private label. It's very it's very find your keyword and sell that thing. Yeah.
I call it a slap and send. It was like no type of molding. I was not creating a brand or product. My VA ran the entire project. I just helped fund it. Did not work.
Yeah.
$5,000 loss, but like I learned a lot, and like I was making sales too. That was the thing. It's not like I just bought it and it did not sell. It just like the ads might have been too pricey, or eventually, I think I was selling it for like $21.99 and it came down to like $11.99 because your source price when you're buying this stuff is like $3, $2-3. So if you own the brand, you have a lot more margin to work with, what I've seen too. Because now that I work closer with brands, I see a lot of their costs. Private label is worth it, but you have to have a lot more capital than you expect getting into it and a lot more experience. So
that's why we'll always suggest, selling something that already sells. And like, I think we both think probably the best cash flow business on the internet is a good like arbitrage wholesale combo
and a good reselling business, or like if you're reselling and you go to the local, what's that store called? Menards.
Yeah. Hardware store, Menard. Yeah.
Whatever that is. And so like I lost track of what I was saying, but basically like on those suppliers, there's just a lot of, forget it. I lost track of it.
Sounds good. Bunch of good questions here. Let's see. Hosher's asking about like a calling system, like, and because that's good, because you just mentioned you're starting to like more actively seek out new brands and that kind of thing. So do you guys have certain like I'm going to call this many brands and I'm going to follow up this many times? Like what's that flow look like?
Just to keep it super simple, when you're getting started, I would personally call 3 to 5 suppliers per day and keep that rolling as long as you can. Call it 2 weeks, do the numbers on that. But a lot of people, they do the opposite, where they source, they have a huge list of suppliers and then they sit down to call and they try to do like, 50 calls in a day and they burn
Yeah.
out. I've
They have the
seen
worst day ever, and then they're like, all right, I don't like this. And
you might hear 50 no's, right? Like
right.
you might not have a successful 50. So it's like I like to have a mix of different things when I'm doing outreach. So we will do a couple calls per day, but you're also sending a good amount of emails. You're also filling out contact us forms. So with wholesale, let's say you find a brand you're interested in, you want to open a wholesale account, Google the brand. Like, I don't think enough people just go to brands' websites and kind of like do some research. It's just like arbitrage. A lot of the same skill sets apply. So like look at their website, look through some of those products when you guys are sourcing and it's like, this one's not on Amazon. What I realized, it's like, that doesn't mean it's not a good product. That's actually an opportunity. So I had a wholesale account from a distributor. He had a lot of products that were not on Amazon, but the UPC was there. It was a legitimate brand product. I would take it and go create listings. So that's how I got started with like listing creation and everything like that, depending on the brand and product. And this is what brands negatively deal with a lot of the times. If you guys have ever spoken to suppliers, they're like, oh, we don't want to be on Amazon. We didn't create those listings, whatever it is. Well, you didn't create them, but somebody else did, and you probably should have. Like, if you're the brand, you should have been there first, created a nice listing. So when you're come across those listings, you can offer that as a service to brands. And it takes a little legwork, but you could be exclusive on that ASIN. It's not on Amazon at all. Every wholesaler wants the hot selling products on their price sheet, right? Nobody wants the ones that, but there's levels to it. Is it a brand that's known? Because what me and Warner are all about, it's like brand name products with some demand. You don't necessarily have to, because that's the thing with private label. It's going to cost you a lot of money to buy the real estate just to be shown to customers. We're hopping on listings and joining brands that like people already want. So it makes that part a lot easier.
For sure. Yeah, lots of good questions here. Let's see. And yeah, so by the way, mentioned it earlier, but if you guys want, Jonah can help you guys find a brand direct wholesale account in 90 days. Is kind of what they help people with, and then kind of scaling your account for the future. They help a lot of people grow. So you guys can check that out if you're serious about wholesale. And let's see, Mad Mood said, how can a busy sports dad with a full-time job get into wholesale and brand direct? Get home at 10 p.m. every day. So yeah, busy guy. Yeah, because obviously for wholesale, like with arbitrage, it's like, oh, it's 10 p.m. You can spend 30 minutes sourcing stuff at 10 p.m. and go to bed, and you can have a little business out of that. But if it's wholesale, you got to call during the day. Your supplier might not like an 11 p.m. supplier call.
For sure. No. First of all, congrats. I feel that. I'm a dad too. It takes up a lot of time. I like to say when you're starting out, like proximity. So suppliers in your local area. So like, I don't know where you are, but now that you understand you can add value to brands, you can open wholesale accounts, like look at the stores around you, look at the products on the shelves. Like anytime you're coming across these type of things, I would make note of it because obviously you don't have a lot of time. So like you need to incorporate wholesale sourcing and brand direct, like identifying with what you already got going on. So like local wise, expertise or experience or hobby, whatever you're into. So if you're into sports or if you're into outdoor products, or if you're into trading cards, whatever that is, like there's a niche for that. There's an industry for that. There's distributors that carry those products. There's brands that you may already use or know, and you look them up and it's like, oh, whoa, this actually doesn't look that good. Or if you guys use some of these tools that estimate revenue and you see like, oh, it's actually not that big of a brand, but they could be bigger. Or I see them all the time in this store. It's not on Amazon. Those are like, you're kind of just opening your mindset to like finding these opportunities because you don't have a lot of time. And then what I would do is when you're sitting down to like do outreach, schedule your emails. Because like Warner said, you're not going to want to call or contact people at 11 p.m. You can schedule emails. So like maybe you sit down and you're doing it at 11 p.m., but you schedule it to go out the next morning. That's one method. And set aside for you, like I probably wouldn't do the 3 to 5 calls per day. I would source, gain a bunch of like leads on a list. And then when you have time one day, sit down and call as many as you can and like generate some conversations.
For sure. Um, let's see. Yeah, and yeah, you got to get some AI pretending to be you on the phone or something like that. The
Yeah,
other thing I would mention for you guys who are busy, like our friend Corey mentioned a lot, is like pay attention to the trucks that are driving around in town, because those will be like local distributors sometimes too. That's like a nice, you can just be driving, in your case, Mad Moon, driving your kid to soccer or whatever, and it's like, oh, there's a grocery distributor that's few blocks from my house, that kind of thing. Let's see. You are a beginner. What advice would you give to you currently on the brand calling phase? 10 to 8 brands a day. Cool. So pretty similar to what you're already kind of suggesting there.
If you can stay consistent with it, for sure. If you're not having success, don't also, you got to take some time, look at your calls. So I would also record all your guys' calls when you're getting started. Shoot, I didn't even have this when we would do it, but like feed it into AI, ask for advice. Because at the end of the day, like that's the big thing about calling, is you're going to hear their tonality, and you're going to hear like, is it a hard no, Amazon, like get the hell out of here, hang up? Because like when you're emailing people and they say no Amazon, or you go to fill out the application and you see no e-commerce, like people just instantly are like, oh, it said no.
You're always assuming the worst. Yeah.
No Amazon. All right, I'm just not going to fill this
in your head, you're reading the phone got slammed down on you. They might have been like, no, probably not.
I'm just thinking, like, I just know how many sellers are contacting these suppliers, because I have really close distribution connects. I have really close brand connects. Like I literally see wholesale account inboxes reaching out to brands, and it's like a daily thing, right? So there's good outreach and there's bad outreach, but if you're doing good pre-research, so you're not contacting a brand that's doing like $1 million a month and they're doing it themselves, like don't waste your time on suppliers where it's not going to make sense. If you know that brand has 20 resellers, they're doing $50,000 a month, they don't sell themselves, the listings are horrible, there's no advertising, they have half their catalog listed, like I don't care what they say, they need help.
For sure. Let's see. Alan on Instagram, you're just asking about trying to get ungated in grocery stuff. Yeah, I saw a couple questions on ungating and stuff. If you guys are, very beginner stages, you can just look up. There's ungating guides on the YouTube channel here. Plenty of resources down below for that kind of stuff. Let's see. So how do you approach it? I mean, yeah, you're just having a conversation about their business for the most part, and it's kind of what we've been talking about a lot today, Prince. But yeah, because like in the limited wholesale I've done, you've kind of talked about this as well, is like just make a super short list, like you're saying, like look at their best stuff, but also look at their worst stuff. Just like know what you're talking about before you go into that conversation. And especially when you're going up to trade shows, when I've gone to trade shows to get some like distribution accounts, I'll like look up the brand and plug that brand into now like a Seller Advanced search. You can see all the best stuff in that brand and say, hey, this was interesting, what does it take, right? And then at the very least, you're not like, I want to buy things from you. It's like, hey, I saw you sell this brand, we want to carry this, what else can, like, how do we get this going, right? That's like a very easy way to make the approach way better.
Yeah. And every brand, every supplier is different, right? Like don't pitch the optimizing their listing and creating this good listing if like the brand doesn't want to be on Amazon, like you got to understand sometimes before you get into like what you're going to do, where they are at, which is why conversations are important, whether it's phone or in person. In person's better. Like that's the best, like we said.
For sure. What's up, Kaj? Yep. Nobody makes money anymore. What's up, Kaj? Kaj is another awesome Amazon seller for you guys that don't know.
Kaj, Kaj is one of the coaches inside the wholesale network too. Crushes it.
Let's see. Do you have any scripts and stuff like that? So I assume that'd be like some of the resources and stuff that are in the wholesale network as well, right?
Yeah, so we have everything inside there. Corey, who you mentioned earlier, Corey Ganem was a big wholesale seller. Him, myself, Kaj, we're all coaches inside there, and we do everything from like starting the wholesale journey to scaling with brand direct. I don't know how many people we got in there, Kaj, probably like 80 members. And we have all the templates. We have supplier calls, my brand direct course, which basically is like calls of me with my brands. I show case studies of like how we've scaled brands, and then templates to where It's plug and play. Obviously, we're going to show you the systems, but you have to be able to put in effort, put in work. And I do think eventually put in calls. And if it's not you, a partner, a sales rep, somebody, because you're going to open accounts via email, but it's an uphill battle, man, because somebody else is calling that same supplier.
And having a better conversation with their voice.
Yeah,
And
having a better conversation. And believe me, I'm actively trying to get you guys off my listings. I get a brand and there's other sellers, I don't want to share the sales, And so that's like the nature of wholesale, brand direct, growing on Amazon. You can't always share on listing because from a brand's perspective, it's just not smart to share with 10 sellers.
Yeah. It's kind of one of the unfortunate differences between arbitrage and wholesale. A lot of arbitrage sellers like, I'm selling this, I'm selling this, I'm selling this. Very collaborative.
You guys are always ahead of the curve too. Like arbitrage is quick and it's speed and it's fast is why it works. So you can get in and out. You can test listings fast. There's a lot of stipulations you don't have to follow and do everything like that, but it's really good because you get like market data research. Sometimes brands that are like those foreign brands and their US listings are out of stock and like things like that. So
you found them on some weird beauty website and you're just like, man, this is moving. Like, let me reach out to the brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, those misbranded listings, or for whatever reason, like maybe the brand thought those other ones were dead and they came back to life. So I had brands I was working with and that happened. So there was just some other resellers. They stir up these new or old listings. And so me and my team, we actively basically removed listings and merged them into their regular listings. So if you guys see those duplicate listings, sometimes it's the same product. I realize you can create like super listings. So like that's something we'll do with some of our brands, or if I come across a brand and it's a misbranded listing. So for you guys doing arbitrage, you come across a product, it's misbranded. I wouldn't list on that because you could run into like an issue, an IP complaint, but that's something you make note of. And maybe you like help offer the brand and offer to fix it for them. And if you don't know how to do it, somebody does. It's all doable.
For sure. Let's see, what's up, Prince? How can you join? Yeah, if you want to get help from Jonah and his team, there's a link. Should be the top link in the description. I also just put it in chat there for you. Let's see. Somebody said the owner lashed out at you today while you were calling. got very angry. How often does that happen? Like true anger like that? That's funny.
Yeah, I haven't had that too often for myself personally. I'm sorry that happened to you. You guys got to understand. Yeah, you're gonna get denied in any type of sales. This is a sales job. The cool thing is we're spending money. So like remind them that. So if he's lashing out at you, he probably had a bad experience with Amazon somewhere down the road. And that's totally fine. Like I've had guys that are really negative Amazon, really like anti, they give you all the reasons why they shouldn't be there. Right. But our model is like, I buy your stuff, you make money, and then I do everything else.
Yeah. How are you don't get that mad at me. I'm trying to give you money, bro. Like if you don't work together, that's fine. But like,
and just like say this to them. It's like, I don't know, back in the day, maybe where people were spending all their money, brick and mortar retail stores, or they would go on Google. Like Amazon is a search engine now. So I sell bike tires. Like the customer is not going on Google and searching bike tires and buying. They go on Amazon, they search bike tire. And then if they're not dedicated and married to a brand, they're going to make a shopping decision. They're going to see what's there, look through, click around maybe. So with all our brands, it's just like, I'm helping you guys get more eyeballs on your product. That's why you need to be on Amazon.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of goes in what you were saying there, Jenny. It's a lot of work. That's why a lot of brands aren't already on Amazon. That's probably the most common reason why you might see somebody with a good product that's not on Amazon yet. Like we all know, a lot of us in chat are maybe actively arbitrage sellers and that kind of thing. And that just doing that is a challenge, right? So these brand owners are trying to go to trade shows and get into retail stores, and they're also got to do a whole Amazon business. Like it's a lot to manage. So that's where we can come in and offer some value.
Yeah, distribution takes a lot of work. Like from a retail perspective, retail distribution, and that's not even counting like manufacturing, branding, product development. So like those are really important. What we help with is distribution online. Like we're distributing.
For
And if
sure.
you guys sell on Walmart, you can offer the same thing on Walmart.
Yeah, that's a nice little way to differentiate yourself too. I mean, you mentioned that before, where it's like, hey, I know Amazon's exclusive. Can we do Walmart? And then you just like get your foot in the
Yeah.
door that way. Yeah. Let's see. Should you contact brands that are doing a bunch? I mean, 100K annual and 10 million annual would be a big difference. Like I would assume 100K annual would be like a sweet spot brand for you, but 10 million probably not so much.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to get a 10 million per year.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
I mean, I have those brands. I have a 10 million per year brand. One of them is actually a foreign brand. They're not
Cool.
doing that in the US, but like that's what I learned too, is there's brands that might be doing 10 million as a company, like globally, but their Amazon is nowhere near that. Right.
Yeah.
And like that's a bigger brand for sure. But there's a lot of like multi-million-dollar brands that are, like I mentioned earlier, there's 5 people in the company.
Yeah, that's an interesting world to get into. Is like this is going crazy in Australia or China or something, and it hasn't really caught on in the U.S. yet. Maybe we can make it catch on. That's I mean, I'm sure that's probably their entire business model for some folks. Like there's all these cool little niches you can slide into.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Do you guys help Canadian sellers?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple Canadian guys. We had one guy yesterday, Assad. He posted a screenshot. He just hit 100K Canadian per month. But same methods apply there. Big thing too is if you're doing it in Canada, like you should be in the US as well.
Yeah.
More market. And what we're doing is like offering value-added services to brands, right? So like listing creation works everywhere. Registering brands in brand registry. So if you guys know what brand registry is, it's a program from Amazon. You get access to more tools, more protection, more analytics for brands. So if you are sourcing a brand and they don't have a storefront and they don't have A+ content, a lot of the times those brands aren't in brand registry. You can get people brand registered. So we realized some of our members, that's actually another cool niche, is like the foreign marketplace. So Canadian sellers who can be the Canadian partner. We have a couple of UK guys. Luis is like from Costa Rica. So like they're now finding brands in like their local market too, seeing if it sells at that marketplace and also in the US, because like launching brands in the US is huge.
Yeah, it's a good like local advantage almost. Like I know people who are from Mexico, from Canada, and then they even on the arbitrage world, they're like, hey, that brand's super popular up there. Like people want to pay a lot for that on Amazon.
Right.
And they do. Let's see, a couple of questions we can lightning around here, and they'll probably go ahead and wrap up. How much money you need for wholesale? I would suggest like 5 or 10K. Are you kind of on board with that?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. And then you're saying, should you do? I assume that you're meant to do some RA, like retail arbitrage. I assume what you're talking about. Then yeah, like quick, you'll grow much quicker doing arbitrage, and then wholesale can kind of create long-term consistency is how I'd look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, and then here's a good one we can wrap up with here. How many times they're not picking up? When are you giving up on something?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends how much time you have, right? Because a dial takes time. You're going to spend calling him for the 100th time or calling a new supplier. But like, don't think 3 calls with no pickup is enough. And I also think it's a mix of things, right? Like you're calling, you're emailing, your contact form. If you're only calling one number, like look for other members in the company, whether it's LinkedIn or you're using a tool. There's software out there that can scrape tool. We have that inside the community. But call as many different numbers as you can, and you're just trying to get in contact with somebody.
Awesome. Sweet. What's up, Sawyer? Sawyer popping in on Instagram. So Sawyer, are you like a $100 million seller by now or something like that? Probably a first $1 billion seller. Yeah.
Sawyer's laughing.
Awesome. Yeah. So appreciate all you guys popping in for Wholesale Fridays here. Make sure you guys go follow Jonah on YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. And then a lot of you guys are asking good, like getting started questions. And once again, I remind you that he will help you find brand direct accounts and scale your business. All the templates, all that kind of stuff we're talking about is the first link in the description. But yeah, appreciate you popping on here today again, Jonah.
Yeah, thank you guys.